With just hours to spare, Joe Biden has issued preemptive pardons to protect against potential retribution by Donald Trump. And amongst those being pardoned, you have General Mark Milley, Trump's former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Then you have Dr. Anthony Fauci, the former director of the NIH and the chief medical advisor to the president during the height of the pandemic. And then finally, there are all the members of the House committee that investigated the January 6th attack on the Capitol, including Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger, and Adam Schiff. And then actually, even beyond that, the pardon reportedly applies to not only members of Congress, but also the staff who served on the committee, as well as the Capitol and DC police officers who testified before the committee. And finally, Biden separately announced pardons for 5 of his family members, specifically his siblings and their spouses, with literally less than 20 minutes left in his presidency. And of course, many of these people, they're folks who Trump or his allies have singled out by name as being deserving of some punishment or prosecution. Like, for example, Trump said on social media that Cheney should be prosecuted for what she has done to our country. And in fact, he said that the whole January 6th committee should be prosecuted for their lies and, quite frankly, treason. And then, General Milley, it's been reported that he implied that he's deserving of the death penalty. Though with all that, there have been reports that Trump has sometimes suggested he might not follow through on his threats, or he's saying that success as president would be his retribution. But then, notably, you have people saying, well, he's appointing people like Pam Bondi as AG and Kash Patel as FBI director, right? People who have also made comments sparking concerns about who they might go after in those positions. And so with all that, you had Fauci, for instance, saying that he appreciates the president's action and asserting that he has committed no crime. You also had General Milley thanking Biden in a statement saying, after 43 years of faithful service in uniform to our nation, protecting and defending the Constitution, I do not wish to spend whatever remaining time the Lord grants me fighting those who unjustly might seek retribution for perceived slights. But then notably, on the other hand, not everyone pardoned agreed with the decision. For example, you had Kinzinger telling CNN earlier this month, as soon as you take a pardon, it looks like you're guilty of something. I am guilty of nothing besides bringing the truth to the American people and in the process embarrassing Donald Trump. Because for 187 minutes, he sat there and did absolutely nothing and showed how weak and scared he truly was. So no, I don't want it. And then you also had Adam Schiff saying, it would be the wrong precedent to set. I don't want to see each president hereafter on their way out the door giving a broad category of pardons to members of their administration. Now Biden, for his part, reportedly considered those arguments, with sources who spoke to CNN saying that he's been weighing the decision for days now, and he even reportedly voiced a concern that pardoning might imply guilt. But in the end, he seemingly concluded that providing protection was more important than the potential implication of misconduct, with him saying in a statement, the issuance of these pardons should not be mistaken as an acknowledgement that any individual engaged in any wrongdoing, with him adding, these are exceptional circumstances and I cannot in good conscience do nothing. But of course, as expected, that hasn't stopped fresh criticism from both sides, but especially from Republicans, right? Especially since this is after Biden's controversial pardon of his son Hunter, despite his repeated promises that he wouldn't intervene. So you have people like Republican Senator Eric Schmidt, for example, writing on social media, the guy who claimed he would protect norms continues to bulldoze them and the Constitution until the bitter end. Biden truly is one of the worst presidents in American history and will only be remembered as the guy between Trump's 2 terms. And then, in addition to that, despite Biden's statement, you have many taking the pardons as evidence of wrongdoing. Though all of this is you have some pointing to the criticism and saying, well, this is exactly why these pardons needed to be done. With a number of people pointing to things like Senator Rand Paul, for example, repeating his claims that Fauci bears responsibility for the pandemic, engaged in a cover-up, and committed a crime. And there, notably as far back as 2022, Fauci claimed Paul's accusations were sparking death threats against him. And then, in addition to those debates, you have some wondering, can Biden even do this? Or the use of pardon power to try to protect people who have not even come under investigation, let alone been charged or convicted of a crime? There's not really clear precedent there. Or the closest thing would probably be Gerald Ford pardoning Richard Nixon in 1974, even though he hadn't been charged with any crimes. But you do have some legal scholars who spoke with the New York Times saying that he is within the boundaries of his authority. But ultimately, we're gonna have to wait to see what happens there with Donald Trump as president. Hey, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this clip from the full Philip DeFranco show. And also, a big thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring our Clips channel. Turn your passion into profit over at squarespace.com/Phil or use the QR code. Because whether you're launching a business or a lucrative side hustle, your website is your digital business card. It's the only space where you control the story, no algorithms or distractions. And with Squarespace, it's so easy because they got a ton of stunning professional templates with drag and drop editing that makes site design incredibly simple. No coding required. So get started for free at squarespace.com/Phil or scan the QR code on screen and use code Phil for 10% off when ready to launch. Squarespace.com/Phil.